I'm disappointed it wasn't Kendrick on the walk-up, but I'll take it. I'll take it. It has been an amazing 72 hours here in Los Angeles. I'm very, very happy to be able to spend some time with y'all and introduce you to a dear friend of mine and our team president, Neal Hubman. Now, as a little bit of background, I met you, Neal, 2014. You were working at a nice, safe, highly profitable company, Google, and somehow, for some reason, you decided to come work at Reddit. So Reddit's obviously a publicly traded company now. 2014, actually, how many Redditors? One. Oh, no, that's not, I know that's not true. All right, well, thank you for bravely pointing out how unproductive you are. I know we gotta make people more proud. But what is so compelling is you were willing to come to Reddit at a time when, just to set the stage, Reddit had done probably $8 million in revenue that year. It was a 10-year-old company, and advertisers were running from the hills from it. It was not a safe place to market, kind of like Drake. And it was something that I just really knew had tremendous potential, but few other people saw it. And you left a very comfortable job to come and lead sales, and in the span of 8-9 years, took it to $800 million in revenue. So thank you for that, by the way.
Welcome.
And
it's a fun journey.
Credit to that. It takes a special kind of person to want to jump in to a burning house and want to not only put out the fire, but then turn it into a beautiful mansion. What is it about that challenge that then made the idea of building a brand new team in a brand new league something that you wanted to take on?
Well, they're very, very different. When nobody wanted to advertise on Reddit back in 2015. There's no blueprint for either of them, which gets me very excited, because there's not a perfect way to do it. That's why we have our own ways of doing this, maybe with some startup DNA. And this is a lot different. Going out into market on that side, talking to CMOs, it's a much different conversation when you're representing a new golf league, golf team with the best players on the PGA Tour playing in prime time on ESPN than it was talking about Reddit when nobody wanted to advertise. So it's going to be a fun one, but it's exciting to build, and build from the very beginning is the most exciting of it all.
We noticed this too early on with TGL, to have this opportunity, as much risk as there is, to say, okay, we're going to create this new concept of the sport of golf. There was so many known quantities of, the superstars that are involved, Tiger, Rory, the list goes on. And then you also had this interesting emergence of new technology where you could tell the story of golf in a way that could be incredibly fan-friendly, incredibly accessible. I had never played around ever, and it showed. But I'd never even watched it, because I didn't have the attention span. And there's something about that time format and this approach that's been appealing. There have been opportunities as well, I think, for us to just build the way we would want to build a team, not having to inherit legacy technologies or legacy methods. We could actually ask from first principles, like why should we do it this way? How do we do it this way? Are there any things in particular that you feel are great examples, maybe for some of the team owners here, of how we're able to use technology and unlock things that maybe conventional sports teams wouldn't be able to?
Yeah, and there's a lot of tailwinds behind golf. It's the perfect time, right, for, I wouldn't call it disruption, but just being additive to the game, right? This is all that this is putting it made for TV golf. Just think of it that way for those that aren't following TGL. There's plenty, right? We're starting from scratch, so how do we ensure that we have a direct relationship with our fan base? How do we build it from the first place, right? And knowing Reddit and community is at the core of everything we do, and we can do that again. Even leading up to the season, which is next year, starting in January, there's a lot of that groundwork of building that community that we have been very focused on, and that goes, community by community throughout all of Los Angeles, and our mission, as we have stated, making golf for everybody and making it accessible. And what does that mean? That means we have to show up and put clubs in hands of youth or different communities that didn't have access to it. On the technology side, there's plenty. Simulators are really exciting, the way this is going to happen and the preparation of those that's going to be coming across, not just with the 5 irons and the other ones. And Topgolf did a lot of this, right, to make golf change. So it is really a perfect time for all this to come together. But let's say with a fourth wall, right? The way we do merch, and we have a direct relationship with anybody that buys something. If anybody, has anybody bought any LAGC merch here? It's got to be a few.
Yes,
then you
thank
probably
you.
got a selfie video from Alexis thanking you, right? And that one-to-one touch, right, of those, we call them day ones, is an important part to ensure that they know that they're part of something new and special, right? And that's, again, just that community playbook.
And we ran the same one, you know, the woman who led this and engineered this for us in Angel City, Kayla, has run the same playbook here. If you were an early Angel City FC supporter, you probably have one of those thank you videos also from me. It was during COVID, so I looked especially ragged, but I was still very, very sincere about the fact that someone who is willing to take a chance on any new business, but especially a sports team, is a superhero in our eyes, right? We do not have the privilege of 100 years of legacy to lean back on. We have to invent a why and earn every single one of our fans. And so you might ask, well, Alexis, it is certainly not worth your time to spend 30 seconds to record one of those videos. And I would tell you, actually it is. Now, I don't think I'll be doing that 10 years from now. Hopefully, we'll have done our job well and our sales will be so high that'll be inconceivable. But for those first 10,000 fans, you better believe I want them to have an artifact that shows I actually give a damn. And the good news is, so I grew up in the DC area, very happy, let's say, with the new ownership in the NFL team over there. You know, I went through a purgatory for many decades as a child in a kind of Stockholm situation with that ownership. I'm talking about Dan Snyder. And one of the things that I realized through that was in any other industry, that business should have failed miserably. Like when you have fecal matter spraying on your fans at a stadium, like you're doing a bad job. When you're selling them skunky beer, you're doing a bad job. When you so disrespect your audience, you should be punished in the free market. In tech, there's no way we're building a multi-billion-dollar business if we treat our fans so poorly. And yet he was able to. And so don't settle. And I know for the owners who are here who are thinking about how to adopt technology and thinking about how to lean in. The good news, though, for the new entrants is we look at that and say, well, if that guy can still make billions of dollars in enterprise value, what can we do by applying the same principles and methods that we use in technology to have to earn and fight for the respect of our users every single day? And it's been fun to watch. You should check out the social of LAGC. You'll see the work Kayla's done in the community, and we have events regularly where we're bringing sims in a drive box sim to communities while we're introducing folks to the sport of golf. Very intentionally saying this is a sport for all. I love the golf girl era meme that Tish has been up to. Talk about, too, how you've used creators to go directly to fans.
And the Drive Box is company for the mobile simulators. You'll see it around town, popping up at different places. It's wrapped for LAGC, and it's a place that we can just show up and allow people to hit some balls and do something different, right, and give them an experience. And then also on the tech side, and it ties into the creator pieces, because everything we're doing is also, you know, it's community first. It is also social first. Just meet everybody where they are, and how much content we're able to capture at everything we do. It doesn't mean that we're immediately posting it everywhere, but there come in ScorePlay, which is a platform that allows us to consolidate all of the content that we're capturing into one place that's easily taggable and it can be organized so that whenever we need something to look up or want something else that happens, we have almost a database of just all of this content we're creating so that we're not always having to scramble and do something the real time, right? There's just advantages of that from the very beginning, and the more we build that up, the more content we're going to continue to have.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example, right? We're all in the media business at the end of the day, and we're sitting here collecting assets, photos, videos, game videos, replays, fan-taken photos, and all those things are ultimately ones and zeros in software. And when people wave their hands about AI, they're probably just trying to raise money from venture capitalists. But there are real applications of this technology that once you get under the hood and realize the way things are traditionally done, where, you know, maybe we have a great brand partner who we want to make sure we send a photo to immediately after the game that's showing their logo prominently displayed on one of our stars. When I found out how many human beings it took traditionally to get that asset and that email sent, I started suffering migraines. In the world of technology, this is a effectively solved problem. Because when we're talking about computer vision, ScorePlay is a great example, that is literally a quick search, because we can identify what a person looks like, we can identify a logo that is at least 95% visible, we can identify the poses, and we can use software and AI to generate those emails. So our partner is getting that feedback immediately as it's happening, and it doesn't take 15 people in a committee. It takes like one. and what's great is when you're building from zero, you can just ask that great question, why, enough times to finally get to the truth and then realize, okay, we could probably build a better process or better software. And you touched on something, we try to meet the fans where they are. We know that our job is not to tell the story just when the players are playing the sport. Our job is to tell the story every minute they're not on the pitch, on the course, on the green. Traditional sports teams, I realize those media dollars are real. Everyone cared about game day. But the reality is our fans are on social media. We get free distribution to them every single minute of every single day. And we have to fight to earn their attention so they love our players. They don't fall in love. Some people get it twisted, right? Fans do not support teams because of the owners. It's not about the owners. We like thinking it's about us. It's not about us. If you see anyone who thinks it's about them, red flag. It's not about the brands or the logos. Logos are cool. They're a thing people tattoo on their bodies. But why? Remember that great question, why? It's because of the players, right? I saw my dad cry for the first time in his life, not because of a logo, and certainly not because of an owner, but because of players. And so our job is to tell the stories of our players, to help amplify their stories, even if it's just what they're having for breakfast. And I love Colin Morikawa. He has a very weird way of eating cereal because he puts it's the cereal first. No, it's the milk first and then the cereal. Weird, but I love him for it because it's another meme and it's another story and it's something that endears him to his fans. Creators have distribution. We work with an amazing creator named Mr. Beast. This is a separate business. He is one of one. I feel like Tisha All-In is the Mr. Beast of this new culture of golf. Talk about Tish, how you met her, and what she's doing.
Yeah, Tish is great. And there is, again, going back to what's happening in golf, there are so many different creators that are not just, there's almost low-hanging fruit in golf. Golf has been pretty boring, right? Forever.
Yes.
When it comes to the content, watching golf, like there hasn't been stories told about players. Everybody knows Tiger, Rory. They might know Ricky Fowler. It really drops off quickly after that if you're not a golfer. So it's our job to make all of our players household names, right? And that's not just about showing them hitting balls and their mechanics and walking the course. It's stories, whether it's how they eat their cereal or anything else, right?
Yeah.
And on the creator side, and Tish is great. There's a few of them. She was a pro golfer or played professionally and then moved into what now is a golf personality. And it is, I think about it in a way of what is that audience, right? There's the core golf audience. So then I can, highlight someone like Chris Trott, who really is, he was the tailor-made fitter for the pros for a long time, knows the golf core audience very well and will very, very deep as you want to go. Tisha is that much broader audience, much more of that. Golf is entertaining, golf is fun, right? And inclusive is part of the entire thing. And it really just, from the very beginning, it aligns with our mission of golf for everybody, right? We want to lower that barrier for golf. Golf is very intimidating for so many people, especially those that don't think it's for them or maybe don't have as easy access. And Tisha was the perfect person to represent that for us with that high energy and make it approachable and make it entertaining. So what we're doing is creating creator in residence programs where we have a few of them now and can expand this later because there are so many different communities or like cultures that are now overlapping with golf, right? The street and skate culture, the golf and gaming club is another one. You can go on. And they're all coming together around golf. So how do we ensure that we have those voices and those right creators that can help represent? So then we can speak to all of Los Angeles, all of Southern California, not just that one core golf audience, right? Mm-hmm. That is the way we're thinking about it, because for golf for everybody, you need to be able to reach them in the way, meet them where they are, right?
You talked about this, and I'll also pile on to, we had some great timing. Once I found out that Chad was working on Full Swing, and I'd worked with Chad about a decade before, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. But it really exceeded, I think, a lot of people's expectations, and is really the only one to sort of do it on the level of Drive to Survive. But talk about some tailwinds. Those are the good ones, right? The ones at your back, yeah. Talk about some tailwinds. You have this show, this docuseries that starts to open the door on the personalities and the humans. And I think for those of you who aren't in sports that are going to be fortunate enough to have that kismet, don't think that this is just because of Full Swing, right? I think there's a multiplier effect that happens, certainly when you have such premium content, getting everyone thinking about it. But then the season ends, and it becomes imperative, again, as a team, to say, how do we create more resources to make it as easy as possible for these guys to share who they are? And that's either by proxy with partnering with creators like Tish, or it's just literally like, how do we bring you in to farm a ton of content? And actually get you in studio for a period of time, or come to you on the green for a period of time and just shoot a ton of stuff, bank it, and then start dripping it out for you. And, this is important. This is a sport that is notoriously exclusive, that is rapidly becoming inclusive. And again, that tension is interesting. I highly encourage folks, and this is just my Reddit showing, seek out areas where there is deep, deep, deep passion, whether it is for or against. My March 2019 tweet about how undervalued women's sports was and how I wanted to buy an NWSL team in March of 19 was met with 90% of people who said, don't just talk about it, be about it. These were the diehard women's soccer fans. And then there was about 10% haters who just said, no one cares about women's sports, you're an idiot, you're gonna lose all your money, you suck. Now, I screenshotted all of those tweets, and every time we hit another milestone of sellout crowds, et cetera, I post it and then tag them just to remind them and thank them for the motivation. And then credit, just by putting that out in the universe, it was Alex Morgan who reached out and said, I can help. And I cannot stress enough, it is because of Alex that I got to spend the day with her, learn, ask a ton of dumb questions about professional women's soccer, and get the confidence and to say, like, yes, this is a huge investable opportunity. And so that energy, though, it carries through, and it was something that was appealing. I wouldn't have wanted to be a part of something where there wasn't a ton of people who absolutely loved it, and stars who were willing to say, like, let's talk, as well as haters who were like, this ain't it. And obviously those women's sports haters are having a tough time these days. They're down bad, almost as bad as Drake. And what I'm so intrigued by, though, is golf has a similar culture where you have this movement now from a ton of people. Look, I was a 40-year-old white guy who grew up middle class, who never felt that golf was for him. I just didn't think that ain't for me. It's not my people. It's not my thing. And if I felt that way, my God, how many people on the planet feel like golf ain't for them, right? And that is opportunity. And obviously Tiger is a legend and icon for all the obvious reasons, who kicked open a door, and a ton of people have run through it, but it's still a sport that for fans felt in many ways inaccessible. What are the things that we're doing specifically for LA to try to reach out to this broader non-golf community? And then also, what are we doing to create that new generation of golfer right here in LA?
There's a lot.
Sorry for my monologue.
There was a lot there that I had things for,
up.
but it's so excited. There's also, going back to what you said before, and I'll get to that, but there's a lot of that same, the naysayers of golf, maybe that represents the core audience, like, what is golf? Oh, top golf's not real golf, or simulator golf, it's not real grass. We don't think much about that, right? Like, swinging clubs, it's all golf. There's just a way that needs to happen where you start somewhere. We want to be the one that helps anybody swing a club, and you can end up playing 18 on a course if you want, but it's intimidating to get on the first tee if you don't know how to golf, and you have the starter there, and there are so many different ways to get into it now. So if people want to tell us that it's not real golf, like, they can say that, and then you can screenshot it and send it to them later.
I love it.
What are we doing? So to give back, and that's just core to, again, a startup or anything else, like, we want to represent golf for everybody in Los Angeles or greater Southern California. And we think about, there are other models and models that we have that experience with to give back to the community. So what we've done is we have announced now our 10% impact program. So 10% of all of the revenue that we're going to bring in through sponsorships. So team sponsorships is by far the primary revenue stream for any team. 10% of that is going directly back to the Los Angeles community to make golf more accessible. And as we think about, because that's uniquely ours to represent, right? That's also something I thought was important, is there are other ways you can try to solve broader issues throughout the community, but being the first ever professional golf team in Los Angeles, like, what can we do to move that needle, make golf more accessible? So there's a 9-hole par 3 in Compton, or in between Compton and Inglewood. It's called Maggie Hathaway, and there's a project to revitalize that. So we have partnered with them, also with LACC. Colin Morikawa was involved, and a few others. And 10% of all of our sponsorship revenue is going directly back to the Maggie project to revitalize that course and make it a state-of-the-art with also a learning center, right, community center. And that's just the step one, but we're really excited about that because that really shows, we want to make golf more accessible in places that it's not as easy right now. And that's one example. I think that was your question.
Yes, it was. And it's exciting, and this is something, credit to the Angel City squad for first stepping up and saying, hey, this is important. Let's get the community buy-in from day one and show it. Let's be about it. And what I love here is we've refined it even more to one single partner. And the goal here, any of y'all can go visit. It's a public course, right? Go down to Maggie Hathaway, and in the years to come, you will see improvements, you will see growth, you will see development, and that's a story that is now a forever part of LA. And I cannot wait for the day that someone comes up on that course and ends up getting their tour card. And they get asked in an interview, how did this all get started? And they say, well, I'll tell you what, Maggie Hathaway course is the one that I first started hitting some balls on. You cannot pay for that. You cannot create that. You cannot orchestrate it. You just have to believe early, continue to make the investments, and it pays off. And I think it is so important to have the longest view in the room, especially now as sports is getting upended in so many exciting ways, right? We're seeing established legacy teams modernizing all these things. We're seeing emerging leagues. But we cannot lose sight of the fact that the way that these become, national treasures, the way these become things that people tattoo on their bodies is because we do things that matter, that feel relevant. And I really believe there's no better way to ingratiate yourself to a community than to actually invest in those spaces, to actually invest in those communities. We used to actually I knew Reddit was going to make it when I met the first person who had a Reddit alien tattoo. And he's since removed it. I had to check in with him. I know Fernando. Sorry, buddy. He regretted it. It was 8 years later. He was like, I probably don't need this full torso Reddit tattoo. But at the time, I was really flattered. The company was just a couple of years old, and I had drawn this thing in college while I was bored. And thankfully, we built something that enough people liked to tattoo it. But there is this tattoo test that I think we think about a lot, which is can we create something that people care this much about? What are the signs? We don't have any LAGC tattoos yet. I don't
know, but I'll ask.
Tonight we could, depending on how the rest of the day
league
goes.
hasn't really launched yet, right? The league launched the first season and the first match is on January 7th on ESPN. So we're gonna see if that's the moment that tattoos start to happen.
And this is wild too, right? So in Q1, I have to double check. I think we sold 750 orders of merch in Q1 for a team that has never played ever.
I don't think they knew our players. They knew one of them.
Probably knew one or two of our players, right? And yes, y'all did an amazing job with the branding. It does look dope. But what's the why? There is something about this story that is resonating. What are the things you're looking forward to for the rest of this year as we lead up to January, where you feel like are going to be more signs of product market fit?
Yeah,
merch sales is a good place to start, but what else?
And it's something that people in Los Angeles. It's not just the cool logo. Yes, that helps, right? But it's the mission of the team and us being very authentic and genuine about it, and not just saying it because everybody says, a lot of brands will say have a lot of missions, but do they actually have something that they can point to and say it's that important, like we are with Maggie or making golf accessible? How we're going almost our plan is to go block by block in many ways, with whether it's a mobile sim or working with SCGA Juniors program, Youth on Course and other ones, and be that draw that has been missing throughout all of golf, because there's never been a pro golf team, right? But make these more exciting for anybody to show up to, and what can we do? At the end, it's about what can we do to add value or bring value. There's a lot of these organizations and movements for golf anyways, but there's never been that overarching, brand or team or anything to bring it all together. It's just a really exciting opportunity. So I think, what are we doing the rest of this year as we lead up? Is that? It's gonna be a lot. So we're gearing up, and there'll be a lot more awareness of TGL. I know there's probably people in the audience that aren't that familiar with it, right? The stadium is in Florida. They're gonna be on ESPN, 2-hour prime time, where the players are mic'd up, and it's the best tour players in the world. So there's a lot more awareness, but for us, it's just making sure that we have authentic touch points throughout all of LA, right? And that they understand what we're about. And that's gonna take a while, and it's gonna take a lot of effort, but that's what we have to do, right? To have a real community focus, you have to do that, authentically. And then when it gets closer, there's going to be a lot of cross promotion and some more awareness about that. And then it's going to be busy time. So then it's how do we make sure we have watch parties lined up for when the only stadiums in Florida, it's a unique business model at sports. So how do we ensure we have things set up in Los Angeles so our fans can come together, right, and continue to represent the community that we're building? It's their own community. And it's going to take a lot of that legwork, and just building the foundation is really what we're continuing to do.
Yeah, and it's doing the work. And to be clear, we still haven't done anything yet. I mean, we still need this league to launch. There's a lot going on here. The early signs are encouraging. And one of the things too I want to touch upon, LA it's such an interesting market because there's so many distractions. There's so many things to do. There's a lot of great professional sports teams here. This was something we heard back in 19 about, or sort of in the run up to Angel City. There could be challenges. I so far have seen it as just strengths. The fact that this city is so damn entertaining means we have to be our best. And it means we have to force ourselves to ask the hard questions about what are we, where are we putting resources, what makes sense. I noticed one thing that was a lot of fun as we were talking about the strategy with, call it strategic investors, strategic owners. This was not like, hey, let's just get 100 famous people to sign their name on this. It was, let's be super, super intentional about folks who really have a connection, an interest, and a passion. I gave Alex her flowers earlier, but Servando, Alex, and Charlie are a golfing family who are also on the cap table, who have deep ties to Southern California. There's another women's professional soccer team in San Diego that Alex plays on that's very good. And so we have now, we have folks as part of the ownership group who are sincerely, who are very much mission aligned on this and who represent a lot of the values we talk about, which is making sure this is a sport where anyone can feel access to it. You've got 3 kids. We're both girl dads as well. We just love this idea of being able to drive a narrative that, again, on the one hand feels a little counterculture to the way golf has been marketed in the past, but is actually, if you pay any attention to social media, exactly where the golf ball is headed. How do you think about those partnerships, owners bringing in, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's those that genuinely, there just has to be mission alignment, and that's what we focused on from the beginning, whether it's Alex Servando, Michelle Wee, who's been super involved.
You gotta give Michelle the flowers.
She knows everything about the things that we don't, coming from Reddit, right? People that have lived in this world of golf, and there's a lot of things that have happened in golf that it's fun to catch up on and learn about, but then it helps us understand why is it like that? Because once you learn that, it's okay, now, is there ways we can do it differently? That's the thing we continue to talk about every single time. But and it's those that genuinely want to be involved, whether they love golf or they love our mission, right? It's like, typically it's going to be both, right?
We can't announce. We have one more that we want to announce, but I don't think I'm allowed to. Or two on deck. Yeah. All right, we can't. We're not going to break any news here. Sorry, Sportico. This is going to be the last round, and I have a couple of hard-hitting, rapid-fire questions for you. Okay. One, what's your handicap?
8.
I actually don't even know if that's good. I think it's good, right? I don't know. I'm really.
I think you're supposed to say, are we betting or bragging?
We bet.
And then you give 2 different numbers.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, are we betting or bragging?
Betting.
Betting. Okay, so you'd say 8.
Maybe 10.
10. Okay. All right. Well, sandbagging a little bit, but that's fine. And with all of the, and admittedly TGL's had some challenges. A little roof situation last year. I feel like the word around. Our chat group was basically, y'all know Jocko, was the feedback to that bad news was good. Whenever you watch a few Jocko videos, get you going in the morning. You get confronted with bad news, good, right? How do we take this situation, which we can no longer control, that's clearly bad, and turn it into something good for us? How do we move forward and do better? And I feel like the league's responded well, building a new, much more permanent structure. And it's given us more time, right?
And the players just gives us more time to get the players engaged, right? These guys are very busy. The tour is a long season. There's a lot of travel. Like, they're very excited, right? We said who our players are. You've probably seen it already. But there's just more opportunities for us to get the guys together and the team, and also just a lot of other things that can happen right, leading up to the season, right? So it is what it is. We were happy to run into it and figure it out, startup mentality, but with a delay in the season, it's just going to be that much better. You get one chance to do it right if it's going to be on prime time. So let's just make sure that's the focus. And until then, let's keep building that foundation across Los Angeles, and so that we have that fan base and that genuine community, right? That two-way conversation. We have not much time left. But having that in place before that first match is going to be a big focus.
And finally, also because we're in LA, and you won't know it from Neal's last name, but there are 2 Armenians on stage right now, and I just love the fact. Got to shout out the tribe. And we need to do an event in Glendale. It's on deck. So I'll meet you all at Rafi's. Come over for the LAGC Armo event. Thank you so much, everybody.